Hi there, fellow Game Masters. I'm Rob Bradley, the founder of Rolldark, the tabletop role-playing community you may not have heard of, but hopefully you've heard of it now. Hooray! What's it called? Rolldark. If you're here, chances are you're here because you want to add one of the greatest tools in a Game Master's arsenal, and that is the Hero's Journey. You want to implement that into your sessions to transform them from being just a mundane game into an incredible tale that your players will remember for the rest of their lives. Here is how you do it. Every epic tale starts with the call to adventure. This is where your player characters are nudged out of their ordinary world and introduced to the possibility of something greater. Maybe it's a mysterious letter, a cry for help, or a prophetic dream. Whatever it is, this is the moment that sparks the journey. As a GM, your job is to make this call irresistible, but also personal. It's not just about saving the world. It's about why these characters must be the ones to answer. Here's a tip. Is you want to tie your backstories of your characters into the adventure. This will hook them in, okay, you guys? This will get them straight into the story. Backstories are great. They're really great. The main problem with backstories is often they are cliches. So, for example, you might have someone whose mother was killed or kidnapped or whatever, and this guy's on a personal vendetta to save her. Great, if that's what the characters want to do. But in your session zeros, I want you to go deeper into those character stories. Go deeper into their backstories. Why do they feel so compelled and so eager to become the class that they've become? You know, why is a druid a druid? What is it about the natural world that has sparked that? Was there something that really profound that happened to them when they were younger, raised by owl bears in the wild, like Tarzan? You give them a real purpose for being a druid. Not that they just grew up in a forest and liked forests. No. You want to really embed them in nature, get them right in there so they can really come to life. And then when you got those backstories, you want to take it for yourself and put it into your tale, okay? Pepper it through. If you've got an idea of your party, let's say you've got 6 players and they've all got individual backstories that are all different from one another. That's great. What you should do as a GM, create an overall conflict for the world. For example, if you look at some of the greatest book series that ever came out, like Lord of the Rings, for example, overall conflict of the world is that Sauron has returned and he has sent his ring raiders out to find his ring to bring it back to him so he can control Middle-earth. That is what's that's happening in the world, and you've got adventurers in that world who are invested one way or another to try and stop him, okay? That's how you do it. So think of it this way. Before you do your session 0 with your players, have that figured out. Have it figured out where you want to go with this. It can be a whole number of different reasons, which we'll cover in another video. But just to briefly kind of overview, it could be a political struggle that's going on in the kingdom. It could be that there's some kind of evil ruler that's taken over, like Lord of the Rings. It could be that years and years have passed and magic has disappeared, and all of a sudden it's started to come back and no one knows or understands why. It could be a whole host of different reasons. My top tip here is to go and look out at popular culture. Look at all the stories that you love. In fact, get a notebook and write down in your notebook all of the films that you love, all of the books that you love, and then leave enough space underneath all of these to write down exactly what it is about them from a storytelling perspective that you love. And then also add in there, what is the overall story of the world? What is happening? What is the overall story? So let's give you an example. The Alien film franchise. What is the overall story of the Alien film franchise before you fill it with Ripley and the aliens and all that stuff? Before you put all the main characters in there, what is going on? You have a planetary company that is going around terraforming planets. All right, that's what you've got. You've got space truckers. If you're referring to the first Alien film, you've got space truckers that are coming back from a long haul with a load of cargo that they're bringing back from a mining colony, bringing it back to Earth. Okay, and because they work for this big corporation that has various different interests all over the world, they of course have parameters and rules and restrictions of things that they have to do, protocols they have to answer to. And what's one such protocol they have to answer to? Distress calls. So what happens in Alien? They answer a distress call and they have to, by law, according to their company rules, they have to go and investigate. Otherwise, the profits that they share from their haul gets taken off them. Brilliant. So straight away, you've got a greedy company. You've got a greedy crew. You also have a company that has a huge agenda that's very mysterious that not a lot of people know about. But obviously in the later films we find out what that is, which in a way is a bit of a shame because you want to keep that curtain closed. You want your players or your readers or your audience to be intrigued about what's behind that curtain. Don't show us the monster straight away in the first act. Here he is, this is the bad guy, and he's just like, rah! And it's like, oh, all of a sudden for the rest of the film, that thing isn't scary because you're used to seeing it. So keep the suspense going, keep the mystery going. That's how you make a great story when you're initially building those blocks. Then comes the crossing of the first threshold. This is where the characters leave behind the known world that they're used to and they step forward into the unknown. This is the start of their adventure. This is where they suddenly decide, I now feel compelled to go. And that call to action has to have some kind of reason for it. There has to be a big reason for them to make that leap. Now, of course, you've got the mentor who's come in and said, Luke, you should join me and become a Jedi. And he's like, no, I don't want to be a Jedi, man. I want to be a farmer. I can't go. My uncles and auntie, they're giving me all that hassle. I can't go. I can't go off and be a Jedi. I've got a farm to look after. I can't be a Jedi. And then what happens? He goes back to his farm. Mum and dad are dead, right? Been killed by stormtroopers. Now, you could speculate that maybe Obi-Wan Kenobi orchestrated that and killed them in order to get Luke to come and be his apprentice. And maybe Obi-Wan Kenobi is actually a Sith Lord. Who knows? But one thing is for certain. His aunt and uncle are now dead. So his old life, as far as he's concerned, has been destroyed. It's gone. There's nothing left for me here. Whatever the line was. So what does he do? Him and Obi-Wan Kenobi go to that crazy bar, go talking to Han Solo and that Greedo guy who definitely didn't shoot first. So they go off and have that little adventure, and off they go into space. Woo! The key here is to create a clear, defining moment for your players. So when they decide to do that call to action, you have to have some kind of story element that takes place where the characters are involved that is epic, which really symbolizes them making that change. Stepping onto a starship, getting onto a horse they've never ridden before, waving goodbye to their town as they leave, or looking back over their shoulder and seeing their old village in flames. Harrowing stuff. But this is what they do. You need to do this because this will invest your characters. It'll embed them in. Keep them there. Remember, this is where your players will feel the weight of their decision. Of course, the players are living through their characters, so you really want to push this home. We're not in Kansas anymore, guys. How many times have you heard that at the gaming table? I bet you've heard it a few times. And I bet you didn't realise it's because they've taken that first step with their call to action. And that is storytelling. And you are a storyteller. If you hear those words, you've nailed it. As the journey unfolds, your heroes will face a series of trials, make allies, and encounter enemies. This is where your campaign's world really comes alive. Each trial should test a different aspect of your character's courage, intellect, morality. This is also a great opportunity to introduce recurring villains or rivals that will challenge your players throughout the campaign. During this stage, don't forget to mix it up. Not every challenge should be a combat encounter. Riddles, moral dilemmas, or even just navigating through a hostile environment can add variety and depth. And when it comes to allies, consider making them memorable. Make them really fun and interesting allies. Now, I'm sure you know for a fact there's several of these that can be found in popular culture. Let's take a look at Luke again from Star Wars, C-3PO and R2-D2. A couple of allies that have come from the outer world into his world, and they're unusual. One of them happens to have, help me Obi-Wan Kenobi, yeah, but I may help. Princess Leia on there doing a little thing. Chewbacca, Han Solo, the list goes on. You've got several of these amazing, great characters. And give those NPCs a chance as well to change. Make their character arc really interesting and unusual and different. Let's take Han Solo, for example. He only cares about being paid. He wants to know how much this is going to cost him and, whether or not his life's at risk. He's not interested in some rebellion happening miles and miles away. He just wants to get this kid, this old man, to this place they want to go to, and then he's off, right? But what happens is he arrives at Alderaan. Alderaan's been destroyed. Suddenly he's in the conflict. He's got TIE fighters on his ass, shooting him down. Shit's going down, right? He's up against it. So what happens is he gradually comes around to the idea of helping Luke and Obi-Wan Kenobi because he starts to realize that this is the bigger thing to do. This is the better thing to do. This is the right thing to do. So turning a character who's an NPC around to see the actual actions of the players is a really great story element, because it embeds the characters into the story. It makes it feel real. Okay, really visceral and real. And that's what you want. You want that for your players, because that will keep them coming back time and time again to your gaming table. I guarantee it. Eventually, your heroes will face their greatest ordeal, something that pushes them to their limits, both physically and emotionally. This is the make or break moment where everything is on the line. In a campaign, this could be a massive boss battle, a betrayal by a trusted ally, or a moral choice that could alter the course of the entire adventure. After the ordeal comes what? The reward. This is the moment where players claim the prize that they've been seeking. Could be a powerful artifact, crucial information, or even personal growth. But remember, the reward should be more than just loot. It should feel earned and meaningful, a symbol of how far the characters have come. Finally, we have the return journey. But it's not just about going back to where they started. It's about returning transformed. Your heroes are no longer the same people who they set out on this journey. They've grown, changed, and now they bring that change back to the world. The return is also a great place to tie up any loose ends and give your players a sense of closure, or perhaps set the stage for the next adventure. So there you have it, guys, the hero's journey. Not too hard, is it? It's a wonderful, wonderful piece of advice and great template to use in your stories. I use it in all of mine whenever I run my campaigns, and so do a number of our DMs. Come visit our website, www.rolldark.co.uk. Find out more, or just go to the description below and you'll see all the links you need. And we have a Discord as well, so why not come and join us on that as well? Might be quite nice. Who knows? Could be cute. Anyway, you guys, great to have you here. Adios, amigos. See you later. Bye-bye.